Before history speaks, Revelation already warned. The Torah describes nations destroyed when corruption spread through every layer of society. When power became oppression, desire became law, and arrogance replaced humility before God. The Bible repeatedly mentions civilizations wiped out not for one sin, but for total moral decay. Every thought of mankind was only evil continually. Genesis. The Quran clearly states, when they wronged and spread corruption on earth, we seized them with destruction, and not one was spared. Across all three books one message is clear. Destruction never came because of a single mistake. It came when entire societies collapsed morally. Before we go deeper, if you want powerful historical stories that connect ancient warnings with today's world, make sure to subscribe and stay with Son of Adam, because these lessons were not just for the past, they are for us. Introduction. Not one sin, but total collapse. When people talk about destroyed civilizations, they often simplify it. They were punished because of this sin. They were wiped out because of that crime. But history and Revelation tell a deeper story. No nation was destroyed for one mistake. They were destroyed when power became tyranny, desire became culture, arrogance became identity, when wrong stopped being shameful and became normal, when truth became weak and corruption became strong. This is the pattern, and this pattern is repeating today. The deadly combination. Every fallen civilization shared three forces: power, desire, arrogance. Alone each is dangerous. Together they are civilization killers. Let's understand how. Power from responsibility to oppression. Power was meant to protect. But in destroyed nations, rulers used power to control, not to serve. Laws protected the strong, not the weak. Justice became a tool of the elite. The poor were crushed. The innocent were silenced. Kings, chiefs, and leaders believed, we rule because we are better. This is how Pharaoh spoke. This is how tyrant kings spoke. This is how corrupt elites always speak. When leadership becomes arrogant, society begins to rot. Desire when pleasure became law. In destroyed civilizations, morality was called old-fashioned. Self-control was mocked. Anything that felt good became acceptable. Families weakened. Faith was ridiculed. Shame disappeared. Public sins were celebrated. What was once hidden was now displayed proudly. Desire ruled decisions. Society stopped asking, is it right? They only asked, does it feel good? This always leads to collapse. Arrogance, the root of destruction. The most dangerous poison. Arrogance made nations believe, we are too powerful to fall. They mocked prophets. They ignored warnings. They laughed at consequences. They said, who is stronger than us? Sound familiar? Every fallen empire thought it was eternal. None were. The people of Noah, according to all three books. Their corruption spread for centuries. Not just violence, but moral breakdown. Powerful men oppressed the weak. False idols controlled society. Sin was normal. Goodness was strange. Noah warned them for years. They laughed. They insulted. They said, you are crazy. Until the flood came, and in moments, an entire civilization vanished, not for one sin, for total collapse. Ad and Thamud, these were engineering giants, massive buildings carved in mountains, unmatched strength, but their power created arrogance. They bullied weaker tribes. They rejected God's guidance. They lived in open corruption. They said, who can defeat us? Windstorms and earthquakes answered them. Civilizations that thought they were unbreakable were erased. Sodom and Gomorrah, often simplified to one sin. But the scriptures show something bigger. Sexual corruption, violence, injustice, pride, rejection of truth. Their society collapsed completely. No morality remained. They attacked strangers. They mocked righteousness. They celebrated sin. Fire from the sky ended them. Not for one act, for complete moral destruction. The real pattern of destruction. Every time. Power abused. Desire uncontrolled. Arrogance dominant. God's warnings came first. Always. Prophets were sent. Signs appeared. Opportunities to change were given. Destruction only came when they refused to change. Why this matters today, end-time relevance. Look around the world. Power concentrated in few hands. Leaders lying openly. Justice bought and sold. Desire marketed everywhere. Morality called backward. Arrogance louder than ever. Nations believing we are advanced. Nothing can stop us. Exactly like the past. Technology changed. Human behavior didn't. The same cycle is repeating. The Quran and Bible both warn that near the end times, moral collapse will reach global levels. Not just in one nation. Just like before every great destruction. The silent sign before every fall. Before punishment came, society stopped feeling guilt. Sin felt normal. Righteousness felt strange. Warnings felt annoying. Truth felt uncomfortable. This is the real danger sign. Not earthquakes. Not wars. Moral numbness. If these ancient warnings are making you think differently about today's world, don't forget to like and subscribe because the past is speaking louder than ever to our future. We will explore how small sins slowly turned into total corruption. The moment when societies crossed the point of no return. Why God's mercy lasted so long before destruction. Hidden lessons most people miss. And the terrifying parallels with modern civilization. No civilization collapsed overnight. Destruction was never sudden. It always followed a slow process. Like a disease spreading quietly through the body. First the small sins were ignored. Then medium sins were justified. Then major sins were celebrated. What once shocked people, slowly stopped shocking them. This is how societies died. Stage 1: normalizing wrong. At first, only a few people sinned openly. The majority still felt uncomfortable. Prophets warned. Good people advised. But slowly voices changed. People started saying, "It's not that bad. Times are changing. Everyone does it." Wrong became acceptable. This is the first crack in civilization. Stage 2: justifying evil. Then came excuses. Oppression became necessary. Corruption became smart. Immorality became freedom. Leaders said, "We do this for progress." Rich people said, "We earned this by right." Sinners said, "This is personal choice." Truth was twisted. Falsehood dressed as wisdom. Stage 3: attacking righteousness. After normalization and justification, came hostility toward goodness. Prophets were mocked. Believers were insulted. Morality was called weakness. People who spoke truth were labeled extremists. This happened in Noah's time, Lot's time, Pharaoh's time, every destroyed civilization. When society reaches this stage, collapse is near. The point of no return. Every nation had a final moment. A moment when warnings stopped being enough. The Quran describes it as when they persisted in wrongdoing. The Bible describes they hardened their hearts. The Torah shows they refused correction. This is when mercy turned into judgment. Not because God is harsh, but because society refused to change. Why destruction was always complete. People often ask, why were entire nations wiped out? Why not just punish the bad ones? Because corruption became total. Children were raised in evil. Leaders enforced evil. Culture celebrated evil. There was no environment left for righteousness. Imagine a poisonous ocean. You can't save just one drop. The whole water is polluted. This is how civilizations became. The illusion of strength before fall. Right before destruction, nations felt strongest. Ad said, "We are the mightiest." Pharaoh said, "I am your highest lord." Rome said, "Our empire is eternal." Modern nations say, "Our technology makes us unstoppable." Strength always blinded them. Prosperity always fooled them. Success always made them arrogant. But collapse always followed. A warning repeated in all scriptures. The pattern is written again and again. Power without justice leads to ruin. Desire without control leads to ruin. Arrogance without humility leads to ruin. Civilizations don't fall from outside enemies first. They fall from inside corruption. Enemies only finish what decay started. The most terrifying similarity with today. Let's be honest. What destroyed ancient nations is everywhere now. Open immorality is entertainment. Greed is success. Lies are politics. Arrogance is confidence. Power protects the powerful. Weak are ignored. Faith is mocked. Truth is uncomfortable. Just like before every great collapse. The end-time sign few talk about. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, warned. Before the final times, shame will disappear. The Bible says, people will call evil good, and good evil. The Torah describes lawlessness increasing everywhere. This is not coincidence. This is the same collapse cycle, just on a global scale. Why God always sent warnings first? Destruction was never sudden revenge. It was final justice after long mercy. Years, decades, centuries of warnings. Noah preached for hundreds of years. Lot begged his people. Moses confronted Pharaoh again and again. Prophets were sent continuously. God gave chances. Societies refused them. Only then did destruction come. If you're realizing how perfectly ancient patterns match today's world, stay connected with Son of Adam, because history isn't repeating by accident. It's repeating by human behavior. The big question: if those civilizations fell, despite their strength, what makes modern civilization think it's safe? If moral collapse destroyed giants of history, what happens when the whole world follows the same path? Before the punishment came, there was always silence, a strange calm. People thought, the warnings were false, nothing is going to happen. We are safe. This false peace appeared in every fallen civilization. Before the flood of Noah, the sky was clear. Life continued as usual. People laughed at Noah's ship. They said, "Where is this flood you promised?" Children played. Markets were open. Music echoed. Then suddenly, clouds gathered. Rain began softly, then heavily, then endlessly. Water rose from the ground, from the sky, from everywhere. People ran. They screamed. They begged. But the door of mercy had closed. The same people who mocked, now drowned in regret. An entire world washed away. Tornado before the destruction of Ad. The winds were gentle at first. They thought it was normal. But soon the wind became violent. 7 nights, 8 days. Storms ripped their massive buildings apart. Their powerful bodies were thrown like dry leaves. The strongest nation of its time became lifeless corpses on the ground. Before Sodom and Gomorrah, the people slept peacefully. No fear, no worry. Lot and his family were told to leave quietly. At dawn, the sky turned red. Fire and stones rained down. Cities that were full of life became burning ruins. Morning arrived, but there were no people left. The shocking truth: every nation believed destruction would never come. Every nation thought warnings were exaggerations. Every nation felt too advanced to fall. But they all fell, not because God was cruel, because they refused to change. The deepest lesson: God never destroys societies because of weakness. He destroys them when injustice becomes normal, corruption becomes culture, arrogance becomes identity, truth becomes enemy, when there is no space left for goodness. The modern world be the same road. Look at today's global society. Immorality promoted everywhere, lies celebrated as smartness, greed rewarded, faith mocked, power protecting criminals, truth silenced. Exactly the same pattern. The only difference: technology. But hearts are the same. Are we closer to the final warning? Never before in history, corruption was global. Today it is. Never before in history, sin was broadcast worldwide. Today it is. Never before in history, arrogance reached this level. Today it has. The end-time scriptures didn't talk about one nation falling. They talked about worldwide moral collapse. Just like now. Is there still hope? Yes. There always was. Before every destruction, anyone who repented was saved. Noah's followers were saved. Lot's family was saved. Believers always survived. God's mercy always comes before punishment. But mercy requires change, not excuses, not delays. Real change. This episode is not just about civilizations. It's about individuals too. Because societies are made of people. When individuals fix themselves, societies heal. When individuals ignore truth, societies collapse. Every destroyed nation started with individuals choosing wrong. The eternal message from all three books: turn back before it's too late. Fix injustice. Control desire. Remove arrogance. Return to morality. Because once the final line is crossed, there is no return. If this episode opened your eyes to how ancient warnings connect with today's world, make sure to subscribe to Son of Adam and share this message, because awareness is the first step to change. History is not just stories. It is warnings written in blood and ruins. Every destroyed civilization is asking us, will you learn from us, or repeat our fate? The choice has always been in human hands. Thank you for watching Son of Adam, where the past speaks to protect the future.